cada uno de los cuales la vida tiene rasgos propios y peculiares que marcan una interesante distinción dentro de la común igualdad de ideas y sentimientos, por las características especiales de su tradición y sus costumbres. El Estado de Nuevo México es uno de los que suscitan mayor interés y atraen más poderosamente la curiosidad en estos momentos. Amanece en el Estado de Nuevo México. Sobre la grandiosa belleza del paisaje, la luz del alba destaca la silueta de una cruz de camino, huella y símbolo de la colonización española. La actividad comienza con la primera luz del día. Un pueblo de Nuevo México, Córdoba, humilde rincón de trabajo y de paz. El gallo da la señal para iniciar las faenas cotidianas. El día empieza para todo el pueblo igual que otro cualquiera. Córdoba está situada en un valle cuya topografía es más suave que la del resto del país. Lo cruzan corrientes de agua que vierten en el histórico Río Grande. La vida de los habitantes, agrupados al amparo de su arquitectura secular, se desliza patriarcalmente, girando en torno de las faenas agrícolas y el cuidado de los animales que alimentan y ayudan al hombre. En el rancho de Manuel Martínez, el día que acaba de despuntar es diferente de todos los demás. Harry, el único hijo de Manuel y de María, abandona hoy la casa que le vio nacer y el país donde se ha criado. Manuel despide a su hijo con la clásica bendición, herencia de ancestrales costumbres familiares españolas. Hace tiempo que los padres de Harry esperan este momento y se han resignado a la separación con la tranquila entereza con que aceptamos un sacrificio útil y necesario. Harry Martínez parte satisfecho, lleno de confianza en el futuro y de seguridad en sí mismo. La última despedida es un adiós sencillo. ¿A dónde se dirige? Cuando Harry se pierde de vista, el primer impulso de María y Manuel les lleva hacia la iglesia del lugar. Es típica en la región la simple arquitectura de estas 4 paredes de adobe, donde la influencia colonial apenas ha modificado las primitivas formas autóctonas. Ante el altar, perennemente adornado y lleno de luces, se arrodillan los dos y María coloca su ofrenda junto a las que ha dejado allí la piedad de otras personas. Harry, entre tanto, sigue su camino. En el altar destaca una vieja imagen popular del apóstol Santiago que todas las generaciones del pueblo han venerado y a la que María y Manuel encomiendan la suerte de su hijo. Harry atraviesa el valle donde su vida ha transcurrido hasta este momento. Conoce el terreno palmo a palmo. Todo le es familiar en el paisaje. Al contemplarlo, su fantasía evoca imágenes épicas que acompañaron sus sueños cuando oía contar, siendo muy niño, la historia de los conquistadores españoles conservada en canciones y leyendas a través de los años. Pero el pasado se desvanece. Solo queda de él esta alzada por donde Harry marcha, que fue construida por los conquistadores al llegar al país en busca de tesoros fabulosos. Harry va en busca de un futuro que le atrae con fuerza irresistible. ¿Será también un sueño fabuloso? El pueblo quedó atrás en medio del paisaje que vio nacer a Harry. Volvamos a los años en que Harry vivía con sus padres en el rancho una vida sencilla, entregada a obtener de la tierra el sustento por medio del trabajo. El chile, especie de pimiento picante, es la base del condimento culinario en toda la región y se conserva colgándolo al sol en ristras que, una vez secas, duran mucho tiempo. Harry compartía con sus padres las faenas del rancho, creadoras de una economía familiar donde la tierra da todo lo necesario. En Córdoba subsiste apenas corrompida la tradición de una cultura artesana completamente arcaica. Los delicados trabajos en hoja de lata son trasunto de las obras de los antiguos orfebres españoles. Manuel ha dedicado su vida entera al rancho, logrando que la tierra le devuelva su esfuerzo en frutos que representan bienestar y prosperidad. Pero fue necesario trabajar sin descanso. Para obtener el agua hay que sacarla a brazo cotidianamente del viejo pozo. Las labores agrícolas tienen en Córdoba características interesantes de origen patriarcal. La trilla se hace por medio de cabras, que el ranchero alquila por el grano que puedan comer. Para evitar que los animales coman demasiado, el alquilador las obliga a estar en movimiento constantemente. Manuel educó a Harry desde niño en el amor a la tierra y al trabajo, enseñándole todas las faenas cuyo aprendizaje requiere una larga práctica. Terminada la cena, Manuel, aferrado a la tradición, se entretiene tallando santos en madera, mientras Harry construye modelos de aeroplanos. Los mismos instrumentos sirven para trabajos que reflejan dos mentalidades distintas. La madre asiste también a las veladas y descansa trabajando. Como otras veces, Harry y sus padres tienen que trasladarse a la capital para vender en el mercado los productos del rancho y los santos tallados por Manuel, que tienen gran aceptación. Harry se arregla con esmero especial. Después de despachados los asuntos del rancho, ha de reunirse con Anita, su novia, que trabaja en el aeropuerto. Harry va decidido a aprovechar el viaje para hacer cierta gestión sobre un asunto que sus padres no conocen todavía y es para él de importancia decisiva. El muchacho piensa decírselo durante la jornada. El camino de Córdoba a Santa Fe está trazado sobre un paisaje de árboles antiguos y frondosos. Harry explica a sus padres sus propósitos, que son ya su mayor aspiración. Al entrar en Santa Fe, Manuel ha consentido en el deseo de su hijo. Nuevo México da a la nación un contingente grande de personalidades, jueces, doctores capacitados y dignos representantes parlamentarios. El gobernador de Nuevo México es un hombre querido y respetado. Conoce a la gente de su tierra y tiene siempre a mano un consejo prudente. Harry y Manuel acuden a él para comunicarle los propósitos del muchacho. Harry quiere servir a su país, quiere ser un soldado del aire. Para el gobernador, la pretensión del joven es un motivo de orgullo. Harry cuenta con su protección entusiasta. Al salir del despacho, la suerte está decidida. Harry comunica la noticia a su madre y quiere ir enseguida a dársela a su novia. En el aeropuerto, Harry espera a Anita con impaciencia. Ella se mostró siempre entusiasta del proyecto y le había animado con su ejemplo a perseverar en él. Anita llena con perfecta eficiencia las funciones de su empleo, que además de los estudios y la práctica de enfermera, exige condiciones especiales de responsabilidad, de valor y de inteligencia. Anita dispone de 24 horas de permiso. Los bailes de Nuevo México son también originarios de la colonización, con influencias posteriores, principalmente de la época del imperio de Maximiliano en México. Uno de los bailes más típicos es la danza del pañuelo. Para celebrar la decisión de Harry, este y Anita se unen a la fiesta. La varsoviana tiene inconfundible ascendencia aristocrática. Han pasado algunos meses desde aquella mañana en que Harry se marchó de la casa paterna. La devoción de María le lleva todos los días a la pequeña iglesia a renovar su ofrenda y a encomendar la suerte de su hijo al venerado Cristo del lugar. Ahora reza con más fervor porque Harry ha llegado al momento de la prueba final. Después de un duro entrenamiento, Harry está preparado para hacer su primer vuelo sin instructor. Recibidas las últimas recomendaciones, Harry se despide alegremente y sube al aparato con la seguridad del que ha aprendido a dominarlo sin esfuerzo. Las condiciones atmosféricas son buenas. Ha llegado el momento decisivo. Gobernado por la mano firme de Harry Martínez, el avión asciende suavemente por el cielo de América como símbolo de una generación entera. Refleja la cohesión y la pujanza de una juventud diversa por su origen racial, tradición y costumbres, pero fundida en una sola voluntad, un ideal común y un entusiasmo idéntico.
That's crazy. Yeah, so that was, let's see, Un Lugar De America, which was also released under the title Somewhere in USA, or Somewhere USA. And it was shot in New Mexico, and it was shown to Latin American countries below us, Mexico, Central America, South America, as a way to kind of say, like, hey, we're the United States and we're awesome. Look how great we are. And we've shown other films part of the CIAA, which is not the same as the basketball organization. But yeah, this is fascinating. Beautiful footage, nonetheless. And I was trying to find a description for it, and I couldn't quite find it. But I think it's time to find out what was going on in 1946 in football. Enjoy.
Fireworks right from the opening whistle as Illinois starts off with a bang. Claude Buddy Young sparks it for Illinois and carries the ball half the length of the field for the first score of the season in Pitt Stadium. Now Rajkovic gets set. He forwards. It's intercepted by Ciccone, 17-year-old Panther Flash. He races it back 15 yards before he's down. Ciccone again. A short pass, and the Panthers are full speed ahead. 1 yard to go, and the Fresh is over the line to tie it up 7-all at the end of the half. Third quarter, and now the going is tough for the Panthers. They're forced to punt. It's a long one down the field. Illinois sends in Chick Maggioli for this one, and he clicks. A fake crisscross, and there he goes tearing up the turf for 75 yards to wrap up the game for Illinois 33-7. And the 1946 season is off to a thundering start. Way down south in the land of cotton, Georgia meets Alabama and presents Charlie Trippi, the one-man show. He fights off the Alabamans and unscrambles in time to heave a perfect pass. And there's a big chunk of yardage gained before the Crimson tacklers take charge. It's Trippi again. As the Alabama linemen surround him, he tosses to Don Edwards, who grabs it in a swan dive catch. Second period. Trippi, one of the great breakaway backs of the year in fast action. When the Crimson lads threaten, he makes a wide U-turn, and there he goes. Trippi is in the spotlight all day. Off he charges on a 50-yard dash for another touchdown to wrap it up for the Bulldogs, 14-0. With the score 7-0 for Ohio, Tony James flips a Buckeye pass, but Chick Saul steals for the Wildcats. Now Northwestern takes up rushing tactics. Aschenbrenner crashes through for one of the Wildcats' 8 first downs. There goes a pass by Daggett. It's speared by Jack McKenzie's fingertips, and Northwestern rides high. 30 seconds left in the half. Daggett heaves and is taken by Murakowski, who goes over to tie it up 13-all. Northwestern still a threat as Frankie Aschenbrenner forwards. Tony Adamley, Ohio State's great defensive center, intercepts, and he charges deep into Wildcat territory. There's gloom on the Northwestern bench. Now Joe Whistler hurls across for a Buckeye touchdown, and Ohio forges ahead 32-20. Northwestern sends Schwal crashing into the clear. He pounds out 81 yards for a Wildcat tally, but it's not enough as Ohio State wins 39-27 in one of the great games of the season. The Irish and the Hawkeyes. Lou Jack is on the beam. He forwards 32 yards to halfback Terry Brennan, who steps over for a touchdown. It's Lou Jack again, fading for a pass. He lets go a long one to end Leon Hart, who makes a smart catch and a 50-yard game for the Irish. Now Bob Sullivan crashes through right tackle, and they're on the 1-yard line. Another Notre Dame score as fullback Pinelli hurdles over. Now Mello can't hold Lou Jack's hand out, but Johnny is on the spot. He grabs the pigskin and opens the throttle. Full speed ahead for 45 yards and pay dirt. What a man. A capacity crowd at Braves Field sees the Eagles open up with aerial fireworks. Panciera, number 43, spearheads the attack. It's a 40-yard pass to Mangine, and the Volunteers know they're in a ball game. Panciera's on the battlefront, but the enemy surrounds him. He snakes his way free and heaves to Ed Burns, who tears up the turf to score for the Eagles. Tennessee takes the offensive, and soon the ball is in touchdown territory. Lund, with a blockade of blockers, sweeps around end to tie it up at the end of the third period. Fourth period, and Lund takes a pass. There he goes for a first down. Minutes to go, and Boston fights back. There's a forward that looks good, but wait. Walt Slater intercepts for the Volunteers and stages a 75-yard dash from his own 25-yard line to put the game in the bag for Tennessee. Meet the Trojans down in Southern California. There's a pass. It's intercepted by the mighty Battle, who bombshells down the field. From the 15, Southern Cal sends Lillywhite driving through the line all the way. Picardo flips him a lateral, and he gallops through the enemy line 20 yards before Oregon cuts him down. It's Battle again. He tears through the web-foot line and into high gear to outrace the Oregon lads to a touchdown and a big win, 43-0. Yale and Harvard clash at Soldiers Field. There's a Harvard pass. It's grabbed by O'Donnell, and the Crimson back smashes into through the Eli line in a terrific Crimson drive. Trails 14-0. First passes. Nat Hurney takes it, and it's a jittery moment for Yale as he fumbles the ball. But Jack Roderick recovers, and old Eli cheers. Now the Bulldogs are on their way. An open attack startles Harvard. Nat Hurney's on the receiving end, and he's soon surrounded. Nat Hurney goes through for a touchdown, and Yale wins. To the victor go the spoils. And the fight continues far into the... Army-Navy Day in Philadelphia for the 47th annual clash of the service teams. President and Mrs. Truman root for both sides. Tucker, Army's quarterback, gets off a pass 40 yards to All-American Glenn Davis, way down to the Navy's 15-yard line. Now Tucker laterals to Davis. Glenn picks a one-way street, breaks away from the Navy tacklers, and scores standing up. Army 7 to Navy 6 through the line. The great All-American outwits Navy pursuers 50 yards to a touchdown. Here's a play that'll be talked about forever. Hawkins shovels to Williams, and he's tackled on the 5-yard line. The referee cut in, and the clock keeps going.
What happened? Oh, you can look it up. I'm not sure. Did I say that I was Skip Elsheimer and this is the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show where we watch old 16mm films? If I have it, that's what we do, and that's who we are. Let's learn about some relief printmaking. Relief printmaking. Enjoy.
Printmaking is a way of making pictures by transferring ink or paint from one surface to another. In the commonest kind of printmaking, the surface used to do the printing has high and low places. When the surface is inked and pressed against another surface, only the raised areas leave a mark. This is called relief printmaking. For thousands of years, artists have used relief printmaking to make beautiful prints. And for hundreds of years, printers have used type, another form of relief. There are many forms of relief printmaking you can use. By exploring relief printmaking, you can discover new ways to create designs. There are 4 main types of relief prints. Press prints are made by objects that already have an interesting relief. Carved relief prints are made by carving a design into a surface. Raised relief prints are made by adding material to build up high areas. In a monoprint, the relief is made in the ink or paint itself. Many objects which we can find around our homes or schools already have surfaces with high and low areas. We can print with objects like these. Even our fingers can be used to make prints. Press printing allows us to repeat a design many times. We can add details to a print with pen, pencil, or brush. Many different objects can be used for press printing, and each object leaves its own special mark. When we have discovered many different marks, we can use our imagination to combine them. Don't forget to look for relief inside things. Many surprising relief surfaces lie hidden inside ordinary vegetables and fruits. Some may be used for press prints, while others, such as a potato, have surfaces which are suitable for a second technique, carved relief printing. High and low areas are made by carving directly into the surface. Prints from potatoes can be repeated many times to make interesting designs. Other materials can be cut or carved to make relief prints. These include cardboard, plaster, clay. Material for the printing surface is important because different materials give different effects. With some materials, very fine detail can be produced, while others give a softer, less distinct effect. A traditional carving material for making this type of print is wood. High and low areas can be made by pounding, grinding, cutting, and burning. A third way of producing relief is by adding material. The shapes used here are cut from rubber inner tubes. As in other types of relief printmaking, only the highest parts of the block touch the paper. Several copies of prints can be made from the same printing surface with different colors of paint and paper. Many materials can be used for raised relief printing, such as cork, acrylic modeling paste, cardboard, and textured plastic. Most prints from these materials have large, broad shapes. However, other materials, for example, certain kinds of glue, can provide shapes and lines of varied thickness. When the glue hardens, the surface can be inked and prints made. Finally, to make monoprints, the paint is applied first to a flat surface, usually to a plate of glass. Designs can then be drawn directly into the paint. By simply pressing a piece of paper against the glass, a monoprint is produced. The first monoprint, while still wet, may be used to make other prints. The painted glass can be covered with the printing paper, and the picture then drawn on the paper. Dark lines will appear wherever we press down with the pencil or other tool. We have seen relief prints made in many ways. By pressing with ordinary objects, by carving into material, by building up raised surfaces, and by drawing directly into paint or ink. Whether you use just one technique and one material, or many techniques and many materials, relief printmaking allows you to make an endless variety of prints. Relief printmaking can be an adventure in visualizing and expressing your ideas and emotions.
And that would be great music to wake up to every morning. Or maybe not. Yeah, so you guys in the comments crack me up with your Rolaids references. But some of you probably didn't get into it. Maybe you're feeling left out. And this film can help. Enjoy.
A group of boys, Jack, Dick, and Paul. He wanted to belong to that particular gang, to speak their language.
Hiya, fellas. Quiz today, but I don't think it'll be too rough. You know, I'd like to get a
Make
B.
mine a donut.
Mike felt left out. But worse than that, Mike worried so much about the gang that he missed many chances to make other friends.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, hi, Eddie.
Oh, here's the book I borrowed from you. It helped a lot. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Now, Eddie, for example. Eddie took his friends as he found them. He knew that particular gang, too, but our story is about Mike, and Mike felt left out. Now, Mike wasn't one to give up easily. He took every opportunity to try to get into the gang.
Hiya, fellas.
That's pretty good. The French Jack. I like the other one. Oh, that's the little boy. Oh, that's the little boy. That's one I like. When they're going on, the bullets are going by.
But it was no use. It seemed the gang was always around, at the soda fountain with their dates, sharing some special private fun.
I had the rough pressure. He used to put the class in uproar.
Mike kept on thinking of the gang and forgetting anyone else who might be his friend. After a time, the others gave up with Mike.
We got to invite Jack and Dick and Paul and their dates. Oh, hi, Mike.
Hiya, fellas.
And Bill and, of course, Gene and what?
Yes, Mike really was left out. Well, that day in gym class, Mike made one more attempt to get in the gang.
Hey, let's see the ball. Hey, toss it here once, huh? Come on, let's see the ball. Come on, give me a turn. Hey, come on, toss it here once. Come on.
Come on, get it in there.
Pretty close friends, aren't they? Too close. Those guys don't want anybody except themselves. Well, what a conceited bunch.
You know, Mike, it isn't just Dick and Jack and Paul. A lot of folks do the same thing. A lot of teenagers especially. Because this is the age when it's most important to feel that you belong, have friends. And folks are sometimes so afraid of being left out that they get together in little cliques and shut the door. It's rather an immature reaction, but it's typical.
Yeah, but it's rough on the guys that are left out.
Yes, it is. And a great many people do feel left out.
Well, what can they do? What can I do?
You're a level-headed boy, Mike. Half your problem is solved when you ask that question.
But what? How can I...
You're going to do something about it. You're going to take the responsibility. That's good. Now let's think about what people do when they feel left out. You can think of a lot of examples. One person may simply force his way into the group. As far as he's concerned, that is. He's in for a horrible snubbing, though, if the group won't accept him.
Well, that doesn't work, busting in. I know that.
Another left out may form a group of his own and try to make it still more exclusive, still more snobbish than the first. Someone else may feel that she's a social failure and give up trying to have friends at all. Still another may try to attract the notice of others by exaggerated dress or manner. And still another may simply forget about the group. He'll make friends with individuals as he finds them, whether they're in the group or not. And I suppose there are a lot of other ways of reacting when you feel left out.
Oh, I can see which one you think is best, though.
But which one do you think is best? Think it over, Mike. Come to some decisions about what you're going to do. If you let that left-out feeling throw you, you'll pick the wrong answers.
Well, there's good advice. If you feel left out, forget about the gang. Wake up to your opportunities of making friends with individuals. It isn't easy to change your whole attitude, especially when you can't help running into the clique from time to time. There they are, and here you are. Well, say, who's that, sitting alone? No harm in going over, getting acquainted.
Hi, I'm Mike Hanlon.
Jerry Mortensen. Say, I've seen you around. You own a motorbike, don't you?
Yeah, but it isn't running.
What's the matter, ignition trouble?
Well, I don't know. Say, do you know anything about... can you fix...
I like to tinker around with them.
Well, say, that's swell. How's about coming over, say, Saturday?
Sure. Afternoon?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, perhaps it isn't always quite so easy to make a new friend. But just a little effort can bring you friends. And then you begin to forget about feeling left out. But one friend isn't enough.
Let's go!
Yes, you can make friends without joining a clique.
Hi, Grace. Can I have a ticket, please? One? Yes, just one. All right. Thank you. Oh, Mike, will you come here, please?
Hiya, Grace. How's business?
Oh, pretty good. I've got to go to lunch. Could you take over the ticket sales for me?
Oh, sure. Wait till I get the fellas. I'll be right back.
The fellas. Could that mean A new clique?
Thanks, Alan.
Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, hi, Coach. Hey, fellas, come here a minute.
How are things going?
Swell, great. Everything's just wonderful.
So I see.
And I tried her out last night, this new carburetor. Found my bike light. Boy, I revved her up and zoom around the corner. I set the carburetor just right for that extra pickup.
You don't know the half of it. Spark plugs I got in that generator, I'll race you from a dead start anytime.
You're on. Get a load of 'em, Mike.
Just a minute. How many, Paul?
2, please.
Thanks.
That's right. Don't lock yourself up in a new clique. Make friends with individuals. There will be many opportunities if you look for them. Well, Mike is no longer the loneliest boy in school. But has he really gotten over feeling left out of the clique?
Wasn't the play wonderful, though? Artie sure is a ham, isn't he?
Oh, no, I think he's pretty good. That bunch. They get on your nerves the way they do mine.
Oh, I don't know.
They could have asked us along. They knew we were going.
Well, you can't get 4 couples in one car.
Oh, it's not that at all. They're just too stuck up.
Well, it doesn't matter. Besides, I like to walk. I'm with the right company. But to get back to the play...
Hi, kids. What do you have?
Would you like a hamburger?
I think so.
You know, Mike is on the way to social maturity. He's no longer concerned about the gang. He's concentrating on individuals, having a good time. Mike will get into activities and projects where he'll be doing worthwhile things, where he'll feel he belongs. He'll spend some of his time with some friends and some time with other friends. And he'll take every opportunity to make new friends.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hi, Eddie.
Say, can I see you for a second?
Well, sure. Come on over to the locker.
Say, a bunch of us are getting up a big weenie roast.
Yeah?
A week from this Saturday. How about you coming, bring a girl?
Well, sure. That'd be swell.
Yeah,
Thanks a
right.
lot, Eddie. Thanks an awful lot. Say, come on over to the
Leak. We'll just add it to our list of differently pronounced things. Protein, abdomen, vegetables, reptiles, puma, rutabaga, ovulation, Montana, membrane, ethanol. Let's see. Uranus, Gemini, Ager, yeah, clique. All right, so behind me I have a film on the scanner. And this was made for the North Carolina Film Board. There was a limited period of time, maybe 6 years, where North Carolina had their own film board. They made their own films. That was during the Terry Sanford governor administration. He started it. They made some great stuff, and then poof, the next governor showed up, got rid of it. So here is Big Fish, Little Fish. And let me change the text. Big fish, oops, big fish, little fish. I think it's about fish. Maybe. We don't know. Let's see. Enjoy.
From the quarters of North Carolina, Over $7.5 million in finfish and shellfish are drawn each year. In these waters, where the warm Gulf Stream meets with the cold Labrador Current, fish of many kinds abound in great quantity. But up to now, this coastal fishery has only realized a small part of its potential value to the state.
For many years, the United States has been the second largest country in the production of fishery products. However, within the past 5 years, we've slipped considerably. We're still producing the same total amount of fish in pound-wise. However, the other countries and nations have surged well ahead of us. Japan for years has been the #1 producer of fish products. Peru in the last year was #1, Japan was 2. Russia, Red China, the other 2 countries that are ahead of us. We have within our own coastal waters of North Carolina, Russian vessels fishing here. We have off the Grand Banks of New England some 230, 40 Russian vessels that are fishing there. This has had an impact. I think for the first time last year, the pounds of imports exceeded the domestic production. On the other hand, North Carolina has for many years been an important fish producing state. We rank about 12th in the nation. And with the tremendous menhaden industry that we have here, some years this local area of Morehead City and Beaufort has been the 3rd largest port so far as pounds are concerned. Around 5th or 6th. Few people realize this. We exceed even Gloucester, Massachusetts, which is traditionally thought of as being a large port, and it is a large port. However, pound-wise, we have exceeded them.
Tradition is strong in the fishing business the world over. The fisherman is on his own, with his own gear, his own boat, his own skill. He's independent, often works alone, is often conservative in his ways. The skills are handed down, father to son. Many of the methods and techniques have changed very little through the years. He has experience. He's weathered hardships, storms, poor markets, the chancy gamble with the sea. And while the pace and pressure of life in the cities is swiftly growing, the fisherman follows a pattern of work that comes from earlier days. For the most part, his industry has not caught up with modern times. For all his labor and time, the rewards are often meager and uncertain.
The fisherman has never had any consideration. He can go out there, and if he catches it, he can sell it, he makes money. He never knows whether he's going to catch it for sure, and after he catches it, he's not too sure whether he can sell it or not. The farmers always have a set price. They know it, they can't lose.
See, the way it is with us fellas, if we can't make $5, we got to make $1. We got to go fishing, make us some money. We can't go farming, we got to go fishing.
That's right. We used to fish all winter, practically all fishing weather, all year round. But for the last 10 years, I'll say, it's got to the point where it's not profitable enough, so the small rigs have laid up probably about 4 months, 3 or 4 months.
But when our little boy, 5 or 6 year old, I just fished inside in a set nets on the shore. You could take your little old net and set timbers out there and run right out across the channel, we call it, water deeper in the channel, pull you in whatever spots, come on the shore. That's right. But now you take one of them long haul rigs and go from that Shackleford bank to this island and pull her 3 miles, and you don't catch a mess to eat.
Sometimes you don't.
Don't catch enough to carry to the market to sell. Not saleable fish.
And they go on these big boats where they drag a big rig day and night, and they can't catch as many in a week as we used to catch in one day. and the small rigs.
We fish, we might say 3 months out of the year, the only thing we can depend on. And say that 3 months out of the year, we make $300 a month. And then September come and it would be a storm the whole month of September, you know. And we wouldn't make nothing. So we'd make $700 or $800 in 3 months. And then we come inside here and mess around with sculpin, make $25, $30 a week sculpin money so we can go. That's the only way we get by. We don't make no money fishing. Just a messing around all the time.
Seems like when there's a few fish caught, over a day's supply, the market goes right down. A way of holding it up, which I believe the state could regulate that and help them.
Well, the fish, you don't get many fish. Like I told you, you can glut it and then they stay glutted. You don't get much for them. Then when you do get something for them, you don't get them. You know how that is.
Well, we're in between some of the big marketing areas such as Baltimore and New York where prices are established. We do not have a highly developed processing industry here as you do in other parts of the country where prices are established, and we sort of have to go along with prices as established elsewhere, and this puts us sometimes at a disadvantage.
When you're selling something every day and one item gets scarce, there's more demand for another one. It's quite natural you increase the price. If a person don't buy it, you had to bring the price back down. But you increase your price, and if they buy it, then you increase it again. And actually, you just continue to increase it until you practically price it off the market.
Despite the difficulties, North Carolina's yearly haul of fish is growing, while many other states are catching less and less. But there are problems. Many fishermen need new gear, bigger boats, a ready source of credit. Many are part-time, small-scale fishermen. The single fisherman working alone or with his family is restricted in his capacity to work. A bigger outfit is more efficient, makes bigger profits, is better prepared to deal with the market. The lot of the small man, as in modern farming, becomes more difficult. Most of the catch is marketed fresh or goes out of the state for processing. Cleaning and preparing shellfish is often a family business run on a small scale. A valuable product, but a dwindling one, is shrimp. Scallops have been harvested for 100 years. They're still profitable in a widening market. Oysters are often a family business. Tonged from the shallow sounds, shucked in oyster houses, sent off in sanitary containers to the wholesalers. Much of this work follows old-time methods, changing little with the years.
You type of man been doing anything 53 years, it would be hard for me to go out and get me a job to operate a crane. I couldn't go operate a crane. I couldn't know where we are and be a farmer. Before I'd ever learn to be a farmer, I'd be starved to death. And before I'd ever learn how to operate a train or build a bridge, well, hell, it would be all up to me. So, hell, I just will stay around the coast here and weather it out. Make me 50, 75 cents a week.
There are fish dealers up and down the coast that's never seen each other. And all they get is hearsay of what the others are doing. And I think before the year ends that we'll have them meeting each other and realizing one's troubles and helping each other out.
If he's a long hauler, he's not going to go to the aid of the pound netter. A pound netter, the same thing is true with the long hauler. And In other words, he said, well, I'm not interested in that. It doesn't mean anything to me.
I don't think there is independent as people think they are. I think they're willing and ready to cooperate any way they can. Just if somebody will just show them that they've got a working agreement and something to help them, I believe they're all ready to go right ahead and work to the betterment of the industry. Especially our association, I think they see everybody that I talk to thinks it's something they've got to do is to get together, work together, not work to themselves, but everybody get together and work for the same cause.
Some men are confident about the future of the fishery. But many youngsters believe the time has passed when a man can hope to make a good living and be his own master on the fishing grounds.
I don't know. He don't know what to do. He gets seasick every time he hits the water. He don't know. He's made up his mind yet what to do. So you can't tell, until he gets a little older, so you see what he wants to do.
Well, I'd like to be just one of the small fishermen. If you could make good money at it, just because then you'd be your own boss, and I guess that's what the small fishermen are trying to do now, but it's just not possible anymore.
I seen this year where they'd catch these real mullet and get 2 cents a pound for them. I don't think that's right. So I don't see no sense going out there no more than that.
Well, the way it is now, there could be no future. Because what little bit we get, you'll get a good price for maybe the first week. Then the second week, you don't know what you'll get.
It'll just be taken over by the big industries, just the big companies that carry the fish all the way through. They catch them and process them and maybe can them or change them into fertilizer or all the way through anyway.
From the air, pilots and spotter planes locate huge schools of menhaden in the shallow coastal waters close to shore. Menhaden is the biggest single factor in the fishing industry of North Carolina. 2 purse boats set the 200-fathom net, half of it stowed on each boat. They close the circle, and the purse seine, or net, surrounds the school of fish. The 2 purse boats, tending the closed net, wait the arrival of the larger menhaden boat. Alongside, the big net, like a closed purse, is brought into position so the catch can be pumped aboard into the hold. Menhaden is a non-food fish related to the herring. Small and oily, its value is industrial, converted into fish meal and oil, solubles for paint, lubricants, lipstick, linoleum, margarine, a host of useful and surprising items. Menhaden brings over $2 million a year into North Carolina. Nationally, it represents nearly half the total volume of all fish landed annually. 58 menhaden boats were licensed to fish North Carolina waters in 1964. The crew on each boat is about 20 men. Crewmen are paid according to the size of the catch. Fish meal from menhaden is rich in nutrients, high-quality protein and minerals. Indians taught the early settlers how to use menhaden as fertilizer for their crops of corn. Unloaded, the catch is cooked in live steam, crushed in huge presses for its oil, fed into rotary dryers and reduced to meal. The residue is utilized as solubles to furnish a long list of products for farming and industry. From research, sufficient capital, and large-scale operation, a vigorous and wealthy industry has grown.
State of our knowledge regarding the waters off North Carolina presently is so poor that we have to do the work to tell us first what we have before we can go ahead and do any predicting. And we're in that stage now. We have found, for example, a submerged reef off the shelf of North Carolina. We found it with a depth recorder. By taking photographs of it, we've shown sizable populations of fish over this reef. In the future, we hope to learn the structure of the reef, something about its origin, something about the amount of organic matter that's tied up in it, and from this it's possible for a scientist interested in applied work to calculate the amount of fish that could be found in that area. So what we're trying to do is provide the basic information for applied study.
The researcher studies what lives in the sea, what climates, currents, and conditions favor the growth of every kind of life. Applied research undertaken by the universities and by state government provides the fishermen with practical information.
We have studies on shrimp, crabs, on the oysters, the clams, the scallops, the various species of fish. At the same time, we're attempting to find out something about the physical conditions in the waters, how these influence growth and feeding, and how this enters into the overall picture. We're concerned with the pollution aspects, these days with the influence of pesticides, various dredging operations, doing away with the marshes and such activities, all of which are interwoven in a rather complex pattern. We act in an advisory capacity, for example, to the Board of Conservation and Development in regard to the rules and regulations. We attempt to assist them in devising management programs, but many of the members of industry are continually coming in seeking information and which they apply for their own particular uses.
Seeking and finding new populations of fish is part of the program of applied research. Swordfish were located off North Carolina's coast during explorations by the Federal Bureau of Fisheries. From this discovery, a new industry began in 1964, long-line sword fishing from the port of Wanchese in Dare County. The fish still leave the state for retailing. Control of the market is in other hands. Nonetheless, a new industry has been begun due to exploration, experiment, and a gamble on new possibilities.
What we have to do here is look at the market of fish today compared to 12 or 15 years ago, and we find that 85% of our products today are in forms that were not available on the market a few years back. And we have to go to more processing because it's the processed form that the housewife is going to purchase. She doesn't know what to do with the whole fish. But if it's filleted or put up in a convenient package so that there's no fuss or no muss, she will then buy good fishery products.
We have all the knowledge that's available for getting these fish to market in much better condition, but the people who have been in the business so far have been rather discouraged at what's involved in going into packaging, and this is what we're trying to solve with the ARA project. One thing, we're advocating a small type of processing plant and a low investment plant that's available to the people who are presently in the business. We feel that Carter County is spread out over too long a distance to have a centralized facility, and also that such a facility might destroy employment in some of the more isolated areas. We're trying to replace this with a small type of plant that could be operated by people who are presently in the business. Such a plant would provide employment in each little area.
1,000 pounds of blue crabs cooked in steam. At Hortonsville, in Pamlico County, is a small, efficient processing plant owned by one family and devoted to canning crabs. Blue crabs lately have brought over $1 million a year to North Carolina fishermen. And this particular industry provides a fine example of successful seafood processing in North Carolina. 19 packing plants bring benefit to the state, employing local people and keeping within their own communities a higher share of the value of the finished product. Crab meat has been a profitable delicacy in Eastern America for well over a century. There's choice lump meat, flake meat, and tasty claw meat. The crabs are cooked and cooled, then the meat is picked from the shell. Picking is nearly always done by hand, and it takes many workers. The picked meat is weighed and tallied and chilled in barrels of ice for shipment. Mostly it goes in cans with snap-lock lids as fresh pack crab meat. Some is sealed and pasteurized. All of it brings a welcome boost to local employment and prosperity.
I just decided I wanted to quit diesel engineering, and I came here and started in the clam business. And there were plenty of clams at the time when I came here. And all I had to do was to find a place to sell them. And now I've got a place to sell them. It's a job to find the clams.
Elmer Willis's clam processing plant at Williston in Carteret County is as big as any in the nation. He processes over 70,000 bushels of clams a year, which adds up to a $400,000 business. The clams provide juice and soups, some of the famous 57 varieties for a national canned soup manufacturer. Here again, research is important. The Institute of Fisheries Research is seeking ways to raise clams artificially, to farm them, much like oysters, and so ensure a steady supply. Supply is now the chief problem. Stormy weather, uncertain harvests, may cut across the business of this prosperous plant. The clams are cooked, shucked, and packed under one roof. After freezing, they can be marketed at any time throughout the year, with no threat of spoiling or gluts on the market. Processing and regular supply are two prime needs for the coastal fishing industries. Supply brings up the matter of conservation, the wise and well-planned use of the entire resource. Through conservation and cultivation, the seafood harvest can be protected and increased.
I believe for years and continue to believe that the misunderstanding and the misapplication of the word conservation has had a lot to do with it. In that conservation and conservationists take too much of the position that we must hold a particular resource to a given point by enclosing it with restrictions to a point that we have a monument to a resource instead of full utilization.
I say killing little fish is like breaking eggs. You can break eggs all day today. You go back to the hen house tomorrow, there's still plenty more. You kill little fish today, tomorrow there's plenty little fish. There's no end to little fish. Pappy Joe's almost 90 years old. Sitting out front, he'll tell you there's just as many little fish today as there was when he was a boy. There's no end to little fish.
If you was to go up to the schoolhouse today and kill all the little children, there wouldn't be no big children. If you killed all the little stuff, you wouldn't have no big stuff. Would you? That looks like sense to me.
But the laws that they make in regards to fishing could help us. And that is to protect our stuff so we'll have something to go in the water to look for, catch. Another thing, they could make similar laws, rules like they have for farmers. in regards to when it's off-season for us, could have employment for us, for one thing, or they could give us money for stuff we don't catch like they do the farmers, for stuff they don't raise.
That's right. Well, I'll say Howard. If Howard had to have a motor this year, see, maybe $1,500 or $1,800, he can't buy much of one and then less than that. Why couldn't he get a loan to get his motor for his boat? You understand what I mean? If a man's boat's about to give on him, why couldn't he get a loan to have a boat built?
And I think the money should be made a little easier for the boat owners, the fishermen, the processing plants, and like through the small business or different organizations that loans money. That is the reason they haven't got no further than they have. They've never had the cash to do it, and don't seem like anybody is willing to go ahead with it. Now, I can plant $35,000 or $40,000 worth of clams. Even no insurance company in the world will insure them. The farmer, he can get his tobacco crop insured, and it's not half as safe a risk as a planted clam would be. But I can't get insurance, and that makes it hard to borrow money on a clam bed. If you could insure them, you could get the money just as easy on that as you could anything else.
Human problems, economic problems, confront the fishermen. To deal with these, the state appointed a study commission for the fishing industry, revised the existing laws, and established a continuing program of research and development.
So the problem of fisheries is not simply or merely a problem of fish, shellfish. It involves human beings, and this gets to be very interesting at times. Their needs, their potentialities, and their basic interests. So whatever is done, really, in the improvement of the fishing business will be done by these individuals themselves that are in the business. What we can do is to guide and assist and educate through various means and sources.
Yeah, that was a little bit longer, and ironically, it had been damaged by water, maybe in Hurricane Fran or Hurricane Floyd. And yeah, many of you said that narrator is Canadian. Well, here's the funny thing: is so the NCFB, North Carolina Film Board, brought one of their board members from the NFBC, the National Film Board of Canada. And so I'm sure they said, hey, here's this great company that we've worked with on some of our documentaries, and they are Canadian. So there you go. That's why there's a Canadian, why there's not a North Carolinian doing. I see, that doesn't make sense to me. Ultimately, it's like there were plenty of film production companies in North Carolina that could have done this, but there you go. Thanks for watching today. Let's see. There is, let me hide this real quick. Boom. Oops. Hide that too. Boom. Okay, so it is, we are voting on the quarterfinals for the toe tapping tournament, and would love for you to vote. So it is fast food versus people working with data, zip code song versus good eating, Keep the Promise versus I'm Mad at You, Seen Through Commercials versus Run for Your Life. I'm not going to play those songs right now. I'll do it tomorrow because my brain is mush. But yes, please vote, because these top 4, whoever wins these, are supposedly who we're going to have compete against the Found Footage Festival. So thanks everybody for tuning in today, as always, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody. Take care. Where's the little thing? Oh, there it is. The thing. Everybody take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.